All right, so today what I'm going to share with you is how to prep out and paint a raw OEM bumper. There's a couple little tricks and techniques you need to know when you're prepping out a raw bumper for paint. So it's a little bit different than if you get a bumper that's been pre-primed. This has a mold release agent or residue on this bumper from when they manufactured it. So we need to remove that before we start sanding it. The way we're going to do that is Darius is going to wipe it down with some 70% isopropyl alcohol before you start sanding on it. Darius will get that all removed. We'll move on to the next step. We have this textured bottom half of this bumper cover that is not getting painted. It's not getting sanded. It's got a real fine line here. And we're going to fine line this before we paint it. But for right now, just to protect it, Darius is going to tape that off so we can sand this portion of the bumper and get that prepped out for paint. What we're going to use to do that is this gray scuff pad. This is a fine scuff pad, and we're just going to lightly go over this and see how it's creating those scratches. You don't have to press real hard. You don't want to leave deep scratches in a raw bumper. It's all pretty simple stuff, but you want to follow the proper procedure when you're prepping this out. Otherwise, you might have a bumper where the paint starts peeling off. So Darius has got this all sanded. You can see how we've knocked the shine off. We got all those nice uniform scratches in it. We're going to take the scuff pad, and Darius has got this paste here. We're not going to use that red one. This is some abrasive prep. It's like a paste. We're going to use that with some water to go over this entire bumper cover. Okay, we got it washed off and dried, or Darius did, and now he's going to wash it with isopropyl alcohol. We got this all dry. I need to put some fine line tape on this bumper. All right, now I'm going to run some of this 3/4 inch tape right on this fine line to kind of hold it down. And I'm leaving a little on the end so I can just peel this off pretty quick after we clear it. Now we can run some paper. Okay, we're going to mix up some sealer for this. This is the U-POL 2253. It's a high build primer. It can also be used as a sealer. So to mix it as a sealer, we're going 4 to 1 to 2 parts urethane reducer. So 4 parts primer, 1 part activator, 2 parts urethane reducer. We've got our PPS cups, disposable cup system here. We'll find our 4 to 1 mixing ratio right at the bottom. We're not going to need a ton of this. I'm going to go to 2 parts. 2333, the slow activator for the U-POL sealer. 2 parts urethane reducer. This is the reducer I'm using, the USC. Now there's only a part for 1 there, so we're going to have to double that. I want to mix this up good. This primer is really thick, so you want to make sure you mix it up so it's all consistent. I am going to tint this sealer just a little bit. You can tint this sealer with the color of the vehicle. So this is the color of the vehicle here. With your standard base coat, you can add to the sealer and tint it just a little bit. We are going to use the Sagola 3300 GTO for the sealer, the base, and the clear coat. This is a great gun. We're using the Tack cap. Sagola sent me this cap to try out, along with a couple other things, t-shirt and some cool stuff. So thank you, Sagola. But this is an awesome gun. I really do love this gun. If you're looking to upgrade your paint gun from an inexpensive paint gun to a higher quality gun that's going to last a real long time and just produce a really good looking finish, this is kind of a mid-tier gun here as far as price wise. As far as quality, it's an upper tier. Okay, we're ready to spray our sealer. Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna just spray this down with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. I see a couple little spots, they're sweat spots. So when it's real hot out, it's like 100 degrees today. If you touch it with your sweat, that could fisheye a paint job. So I'm just gonna clean these spots off a little bit. Okay, we did this off camera, but this is what we used to spray over that raw bumper. After we did the sanding right before sealer, this is gonna help that paint to adhere properly so you don't have any peeling problems down the road. As far as how we spray this, we're gonna spray it just like base. I'm gonna set my air pressure on the Sagola at about 22 PSI. Maybe 20. And then the fan pattern is going to be wide open. I'm going to turn my fluid volume 2.5 turns out from closed. Okay? And there we go. Right, just like base coat, you want to overlap about 75, 80%. You want to have a consistent speed and a consistent distance from the panel. So when I'm going around this bumper, I'm not going straight across, I'm going around. So I keep my distance consistent around that bumper, around the contours of the bumper. So let me get a little air on this and we'll tack right it off. The first coat of sealer is going to be a light coat of sealer. If you put it on too wet, you can have some fish eyes or some reaction to a new surface. I went ahead and I scuffed this bumper because after I felt over it to inspect it, after I sealed it, it had a little bit of a rough texture. So I just went ahead and sanded the entire bumper lightly. Really didn't take much, didn't take very long, but this is what I used. This is a flexible sandpaper. It's equivalent to about a 600 grit scratch. It's made by Sunmite, comes on this little pad, and we just sanded this bumper. Smoothed everything out, made sure everything was smooth, there was no imperfections, and then I went ahead and washed it with an isopropyl alcohol to clean that residue off and tack ragged it off. So now we're going to go ahead and lay our first coat of base. Okay, let's talk about some tips and techniques when you're applying base coat to your bumper. Now this is a metallic finish, it's a fine metallic, but when you're spraying any kind of metallic finish, you want to be aware of your overlap. Now what I mean by overlap is when I make a pass, I want to overlap that previous pass by 75 to 85%. This is going to help give you a consistent and uniform metallic finish. When I'm finished spraying this base coat, I want it to be nice and silky smooth. In order to achieve that, we want to have a consistent distance from our panel at all times. Now I'm spraying about 4 to 5 inches away. You could spray a little bit farther or a little bit closer. All depends on how you like to spray it and the speed you like to spray it, because that's going to affect, your speed is going to affect how much material gets on that panel. So if you're spraying a little bit closer, you're going to get more material on the panel. And you know, in order to avoid running it, you want to make sure your gun's set up accordingly. Now the way I set up this gun is I set up this gun at about 24 PSI on my air pressure, and my fluid volume is at 2.5 turns out. And I've got my fan pattern basically wide open. After this first coat of base, this paint is nice and silky smooth. We're going to apply our second coat, and then we'll move on to the clear coat. So after we apply this second coat of base, you want to inspect the paint for any imperfections. So before I go ahead and spray my clear coat, I want to look over my panel, make sure there's no dust particles in my base coat before I clear it. Most of your dust, believe it or not, is probably going to come from your base coat. You will get some from in your clear coat, but if you can smooth that out and correct that before you clear, you're just going to have a cleaner paint job. So inspect your panel. If you have any dust particles, what you want to do is you want to take a fine sandpaper, like 1,000 grit or an 800 grit, and just lightly sand that, smooth a little bit, knock off any dust, and then apply another light coat of base, and you'll be good and ready for some clear coat. I mixed up a little bit more base coat, and now we're going to apply our final coat of paint, and then we'll move on to clear coat. I'll talk about the different gun settings for this Sagola gun. And as you can see, this Sagola gun is really laying down a beautiful base coat. It's nice and silky smooth. Some of that has to do with the brand of paint you choose to use. I'm using Nason XL. It's reasonably priced, does a decent job, and I can pick it up at my local O'Reilly's. Okay, the clear coat we're using today is the FC710 Finish 1 clear coat. This is a 4-to-1 clear. So that's 4 parts clear coat, 1 part activator. We're going to use a slow activator. Okay, so we're going to do 4 parts of clear coat. And then we're using the slow activator. With the Sagola 3300 GTO, I'm going to set it up at, the fluid volume is 3.5 turns out from close. So we close it, 1, 2, 3, and then a half, okay? The fan pattern I've got, I'll go all the way wide open, and then I'm going to turn it 3/4 of a turn closed. That's just how I like it. And the air pressure, we're going to set it about 26 PSI to start, and we'll see how that works for us. If we need to bump up the pressure, then I will. When painting a bumper, I just simply start at one end of the bumper and work my way over to the other end. Now we're going to put 2 coats of clear coat on this. We'll put our first coat on, and that'll be a medium to wet coat. I'm not trying to make it look perfect on the first coat. I want to introduce that clear to the surface, and then on the second coat, we'll go ahead and go for finish. We'll slick it out, get the best looking finish we possibly can. Now, a couple techniques when you're applying clear coat and things you want to think about. There's 4 things you want to think about. That's your air pressure, your fluid volume, your speed, and your distance from the panel. All these things work together to help you achieve the best looking finish possible. So, you heard our air pressure and our gun settings. Now we want to focus on our speed and our distance. So as I'm laying down this clear coat, I'm evaluating how the clear is going on the panel. If I need to speed up or slow down, I will do that. So if I have too much material coming out of the gun, I don't have to adjust my settings. All I have to do is speed up a little bit. So if I'm getting too much material on that bumper, if I speed up a little bit, that's going to put less material on as I'm spraying, okay? Now I spray about 4 to 5 inches away. That's just how I like to spray. As you can see, I'm not spraying super quickly. I'm just taking my time. I'm overlapping 75 to 80%. That gives you good coverage. It helps that clear to flow over top of each other and flow out smoothly. I hope you're finding all this information helpful. If you are, give me that big thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you to be a part of the community. Now, a couple things I forgot to mention when we were mixing our clear coat is you want to make sure you're using the right activator for the temperature you're spraying in. In this summer heat, you want to make sure you're using a slower activator, something that doesn't activate really quickly. It's going to just give you a better looking finish. Okay, so after we got our first coat on, it looks really good. Actually, it flowed out really well, and it's very clean. Few little particles of dust, but that's okay. We waited 15 minutes. You want to wait 15 minutes between coats of clear. Now in the summer, you don't have to wait quite as long because it kicks a little bit quicker. But I would say give it a good 10 to 15 minutes. You could see I was touching the tape to see how sticky it was. And if it's just sticky and it's not stringy, then you're pretty much good to go to lay down your second coat of clear. Now on the second coat of clear, the only thing I might change is I might go a little bit slower to let that clear coat flow out. That's getting more material on the panel. Now, Don't go too slow because you can run it pretty easy if you're not careful. I'm really enjoying spraying with the Sagola gun, and I do like that tech cap. I've been wanting to try out that tech cap for some time. Sagola was kind enough to send it to me so I could test it out, and it really atomizes that clear coat beautifully. Now this gun uses about 10 CFMs of air, so if you have a small compressor, it may be a little bit too much gun for you, but if you got a normal size compressor, this is a great option if you're looking to upgrade to the next step up in paint guns. It's not super expensive. I would say it's a mid-tier as far as price, but as far as quality and finish, it's right up there with the best of them. So it's definitely a great option if you're looking to upgrade your paint gun. Now there's a lot of different paint guns out there. I have a bunch of different reviews on my YouTube channel. You can check that out in the paint gun playlist. There you can get all the information you need if you're looking for a new paint gun. Taking a look at this bumper, I'm really happy with how this turned out. A nice flat glassy finish with very little dust. This Sagola 3300 GTO performed perfectly. Very happy with the performance. If you're interested in this gun, I'll leave a link in the description along with a bunch of links to all the tools and products and materials I use. Listen, I hope you found this helpful. I appreciate each and every one of you watching. We'll see you next time on Garage Noise.